I'm reading the back of this beer that I'm drinking, and it's very, very funny. It describes itself as pungent, resinous, and complex, which is how I want people to describe me. Also, just one word sentence that just says rewarding as well, which is very funny.
Is it a quote?
No, it's just that shouldn't have. I feel like that should have been included in that list, but it's just they put two full stops. So I don't know.
I've always been mad. Smickelson. Welcome to Drink Floyd, the podcast where we watch every movie ever made to see if it syncs up with Pink Floyd's 1973 magnum opus, The Dark Side of the Moon. My name is Gareth Blackler, and my fellow man who's joining me on a mission nobody asked us to do, an experiment that may or may not be having negative or positive effects in our personal life. It's your co-host, James Barron. Hello, James.
Hello, it's me, James Barron. Here, I'm a binge drinking expert is appearing below my name in the lower third of this podcast right now. I'm pleased to be here with you, as I am every week, but happy to provide my expertise on this particular episode. We're here to see if it syncs up or drinks up on Drinks Floyd this episode, because we watched Another Round, Danish international film hit starring Mads Mikkelsen. Won a bunch of awards. It's like a Cannes Film Festival movie. And yeah.
Cans of beer.
Oh.
Sorry.
Ooh. Hell yeah.
Real, honestly, you know, I can see why people loved it so much, especially in 2020 when it was released, because it is people in crowds, out and about, having a good time. And then also having a bad time, which is what what life's about, you know?
I feel like it's less about having a bad time. I've got a wild theory about this movie.
That shocked me. Yeah, that shocked me how little it was about having a bad time, to be honest.
For a movie about binge drinking, it's surprisingly heartfelt and positive, I've got to say, which is a tough call. Tough to make something like that, I think. I was prepared to go into the terrifying binge drinking adverts of New Zealand and just enter that realm and universe where people keep falling through tables and things like that. So I don't want the health and safety ads. That's where I assumed this movie would be operating from. But no, a surprisingly heartfelt story.
It reminds me of the New Zealand binge drinking ads in that it's simply the moral is it's not the drinking, it's how we're drinking.
Yeah, that's very true.
It seems to just be kind of a personal journey, which is, a very interesting way to run the film, and good on them for avoiding, feeling preachy, but also feeling irresponsible as well. They skate a fine line, and skating a fine line is something hard to do when you're drunk.
Extremely. Yes, I want to, proviso at the top of the show. The official standpoint of Sync Floyd is that we do not advocate for heavy drinking. That said, we are doing an experiment ourselves on this episode where we both have had a tipple, had a little bit to drink. We're going to see how that affects the episode. Fun fact, though, I had definitely have recorded episodes of this podcast in the past drunk, but see if you can figure out which ones. Yeah. If you can guess all 10, then you win my special prize.
Yeah, you've got to play them in order of how drunk he was.
Yeah.
In reverse, and you get a secret message leads you to...
That's on brand.
Where James will find you and take you to a pub.
Yeah, I'll shout you a beer if you manage to do it. Yeah. But I'll shout myself 2 beers, so...
So I am not much of a drinker. I probably feel like I have a bottle of beer a week, maybe?
Sure.
At that. Today, I have had 1 bottle of beer, which I tipped out some of. A glass of... a glass of prosecco.
Oh.
Which I had to down because I had to start watching this movie.
Had to make up for throwing the beer away, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I'm sipping on a large glass of what I assumed was a white wine, but it's actually with a natural salmon colour.
Oh, okay. Maybe a rosé or something then.
Yeah, it must be. It was a gift left at an Airbnb that we stayed at.
Oh.
That he said you can help yourselves to. And
Oh, that's nice.
I'm still getting through it.
Oh my gosh. It's a very kind offer at a B&B, actually. Like, leaving you a bottle of wine. Damn, nice place, I must imagine.
Shout out to this guy. He made his own coffee as well, and we got to have some of that. If you're ever in the Coromandel, in New Zealand, that unnamed Airbnb is the place to be.
It's the place to be and be.
What are you sipping on, James?
I'm sipping on... I've been exclusively drinking Tuatara IPAs. Yep.
That was one of the drinks I poured out.
Oh, really? Well, I'm not. I'm pouring it out down my gullet. I'm loving the old IPAs. I wouldn't say that I'm I would say maybe I'm a more seasoned drinker than you are. I enjoy going for a drink and I don't know if I had to... This feels like I'm doing my mortgage assessment again where I have to say how many beers I drink in a week. And that was something that I really hadn't thought about until that.
That's wild they ask that.
Oh, yeah. I had to do a full health, physical assessment for all kinds of... I was getting insurance is the reason.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'd never done that before. So you can kill me now and other people will get the money. It'll be fine. Yeah, too late, listeners. Anyway, yes. Tuatara IPA. It's a very, very nice beer. And I've had about... Oh, God. I've had 2.5, putting me, after a bit of nerdy calculation, at the blood alcohol content for the movie, the optimal level, according to my assessment.
Yes.
And I'm going to try and maintain that throughout the episode if possible. I don't have a breathalyzer on me. I wish I did. That would be such a good, sight gag. But I couldn't find one short notice. I did look.
Cool.
But no, yeah. So I'll probably just have a few sips here and there throughout the episode. Not that that's any different to usual.
Yeah, you are the more seasoned drinker, in that you distinctly. I remember you taught me essentially how to drink beer.
Oh wow!
Growing up, I assume I haven't told this story on the podcast before.
Maybe.
Growing up, not growing up. When I was 18, I would have beers from my dad. My dad would say, "Oh, you're going to the party. Help yourselves to a couple of the beers. They're in the cupboard next to the dog food." Okay. So I'd go into the garage. I'd open up the cupboard next to the dry dog food. The dog would get excited because it was dog food time. Yeah. But it's actually 18-year-old food time. Time to go out to have a beer. And I'd take out maybe 2-3 bottles of just warm outside beer from the garage.
Oh,
I'd put it in a backpack.
No.
And a friend who could drive would come and pick me up and would ride through the Christchurch, New Zealand summer with that beer tucked away in the backpack next to a hoodie, just getting warmer and warmer. Get to the party, crack a nice hot one. And I was always like, I don't get it. I'm not a beer drinker. I just don't understand why people would want beer. And then maybe, 4 years later, you move into the flat I'm living. And you're like, maybe we should get some beers for the flat. And I was like, oh no, beer. That warm bread water.
What a fucking bad influence I am. That's hysterical. Oh my God. Okay.
But you put the beers in the fridge. And then I had a beer that was in the fridge. And I was like, right, I get it now. And then, of course, it took me 3 hours to finish one bottle of beer. So by then it was hot and flat the way
the way you remember
Papa intended. Yeah.
Oh, it's a very wholesome
Yeah.
story. I'm honoured to be involved in that. Gosh.
Oh.
I would not say that I had any idea or I knew what I was doing at that stage. Putting beer in the fridge like some kind of genius. No, like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's not really a skill. It's just it's just like some people have different tolerances. You know, it's not a big deal.
I think knowing to put drinks or food in a fridge is,
Just
less of
wisdom.
a skill, more how not to die.
Well, I'll take that. That's very kind of you to say. I'm happy to be this wise old mentor offering such pearls of wisdom as put beers in the fridge. Oh man, I'm just the health
it's like you're a
safety
character
official.
in this film.
Yeah. Oh,
And
nice.
I'm Sebastian, your student.
Oh god. I don't know if we should have the Peter Sebastian relationship, but we should get into it. We should get into discussing this movie, I think. We've got the old Floyds, the Pink Floyds. Do you reckon they enjoyed a drink? Probably, right? They're British lads.
Surely.
I reckon they went down the pub and they were like, you guys, you know what we need to do? Concept album. Let's get involved. And then they just made a career out of that, over a pint. Surely.
Yeah, they were paying for their pints and they heard a cash register and they were like, oh, what song's that? And the barkeep was like, it's a
Money.
cash register. Money, pay for the drinks. And they were like, we got to get to the studio.
Quick! And they just ran out of there and then they got barred from the bar. Brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Every bar surrounding Abbey Road Studios banned film for sampling.
Oh, stop sampling at my damn bar and pay for your drinks, boys. Gosh. Oh, so good. Okay, let's do it. Let's talk about another round movie. Let's go. Speak to me. Not opening titles. Not you know the drill. You don't know anything. The
drill
this
is
movie starts
lost.
with a poem, not an opening title. Poem/quote. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I don't speak Danish, so I feel like they're definitely proviso. There will be some things lost in translation with this movie. Subtitles or no. I'm probably going to miss stuff, but I'll do my best. Anyway, poem is, what is youth? A dream. What is love? The content of the dream. It's attributed to Soren Kierkegaard, which it's a pretty lovely quote, really, or poem. I like it. It's like it inspires a nostalgia that I feel like this film is trying to chase, which is very nice. Yeah, and then the movie opens with a lake race, a classic youth stupid thing, binge drinking culture vibe. In New Zealand, we have something similar called called Crate Day, where people try from 12 to 12, so 12 in the afternoon to 12 in the evening, to consume a crate of beers over there. You like aiming for 1 an hour. A crate is 12. Of these like 1.5 liter beers, I think, like pretty sizable bottles. It's a stupid thing to do, and I've seen people do it, but they aren't in a good state. It's mostly an excuse to hang out with friends and have a barbecue and drink way too much beer. And that seems to be a very similar vibe as to what this lake race is. Which it's much more active though. They've got to race around this lake under the clock and drink a full case of beer as part of a team though, which is much more sensible. They should do Crate Day teams. I like that.
Crate mates.
Yeah, and yes, at each bench along the way, they have to consume one of the bottles, and if one of them individually throws up, they get time added to the clock. But if they throw up together as a team, they have time removed. I love that as a detail, and that it's like this camaraderie thing. I bet this is real as well. Like it's too sweet not to be real.
I've heard like Danish drinking culture is very similar to New Zealand.
Yeah, that tracks.
It's awful.
Yeah. Anywhere where it gets like decently cold, I feel like you're more encouraged to drink heavily just because it like provides this warmth that is like so vital. You know? I don't know.
Yeah, well, this it sort of jumps ahead, but this idea of an animal being born with a blood alcohol deficiency is not based in which is the premise of the film. Essentially, they read this and they try to up that amount. That's not based at all on any human science, of course, but it could be based on Arctic animals that produce their own alcohol inside their blood.
Wow.
Like Arctic lizards. So, yeah.
Nice. Sweet fact. There you go. That's drunk-ass
lizards binge drinking, of their own blood, their own cold blood, because they know where to put it.
Oh, mate, there you go. Put it in the fridge, boys. There's cold lizards. I'm like a cool lizard with sunglasses telling you to put your beer in the fridge. That's my mascot.
Oh, that makes such a good magnet.
Yeah. Put it in the fridge. It's just like a lizard resting on a case of beers.
If you email syncfloydpod at gmail.com asking for that magnet.
Oh my God. We've got so much merch. These merch promises are getting away from us. I love it. Anyway, we go into Breathe and we see the raucous gathering of youths I've written down. And yeah, they're just having like a night on the town, bumping up some loud music, having a good time in like a subway. And this is like hard cut to black. There's like loud music playing in the actual film that we can't hear. And then like cut to black for the opening titles over complete silence. I feel like music in general is really important in this movie, and the fact that we're covering it up is pretty bad, but, you know, it goes with the territory. But, like, whenever... It's not consistent throughout the whole movie, but when people are drinking or when they're having a good time and enjoying life is when music is playing in the film, is the most... There's what I noticed throughout. Or like just being awakened to your own life and living in the moment is associated with music, I think. Anyway, so we get these opening titles and we start with a faculty meeting at the school about these indecent youths, this incident that happened. And yeah, they're talking about that. And yeah, we get introduced to our main characters who are all teachers in this movie. We've got Tommy, the gym teacher, played by Thomas Bo Larsen. We've got Peter, who's like singing and music teacher, who's played by Lance Ranth. We've got Nikolai, who is a like psychology teacher. It's not like, I think he's psychology. It must be. He's played by Magnus Malling, who has a fantastic IMDb picture, by the way. You need to look that up. He looks like a wise old wizard.
Tommy's one, I think it's IMDb. Tommy's one is also amazing, where he's just like vaping. I don't know if it was IMDb or some other thing, but I was just like, what? What are you doing?
He's just cool, all right?
Yeah.
You can't fuck with Tommy. He's the coolest in the group by far. Oh, God. Anyway, we've got, of course, we have our star, our boy, Mads Mikkelsen, playing Martin, our main character. Thoughts on Mads Mikkelsen from the get-go, Gareth? How do you feel? Where would you rate him among the acting canon?
I mean, he's got to be up there. He's great. It's very hard to just buy him as a teacher because he's just like so distinctive, and also Western or English-speaking audiences are unfortunately so used to seeing him play like dastardly villains. Yeah. From like Le Chiffre in Casino Royale, which I think he's amazing as.
Very, very good.
To like, I don't know, Fantastic Beasts, like Doctor Strange, all these things that kind of waste him. And then to just see him like, no, this is normal teacher Mads. This is what he does when he's not playing big villains. He's just comes back and does his interesting, weird films.
Yeah, he's just a very handsome teacher that no one respects. You know, he's just trying to live his life.
Yeah, where do you fall? Are you mad for the Mads?
I am mad for the Mads. I'm a huge fan. I once dressed as his Le Chiffre character for a James Bond party. Yeah, I love Mads Mikkelsen. I think he's exceptionally attractive as a man.
Yeah, that's the thing, eh?
And also a great actor on top of that. So there you go. Big fan of the boy. Happy to be seeing him on screen a lot.
Yeah, give him more things. Put him in everything.
Yeah.
Remake every film where he's the villain, then go back and remake it and he's the hero.
He's the hero.
Then remake
and then
it
put
again,
Tom
and
Hanks as the villain.
Yes, no one would expect it.
Exactly. Perfect. He's not introduced in the best light here. He's introduced teaching a history lesson, and he's sort of getting mixed up and stumbling over himself and what he's talking about and which part of the curriculum he's trying to cover. He's talking about like Winston Churchill, but his involvement in World War One and trying to relate that back to like an industrial age kind of conversation. It's really weird and irrelevant. Like Churchill was involved in World War One, but like it's not the World War that you associate with him, really. I don't know. It's sort of weird background knowledge, and like his students are getting really frustrated at this as well, and it's like pretty evident because one of them walks out and he's just like doesn't really handle that well either. We also see his home life. He gets home and it's also very like quiet and stunted. His relationship with his wife, her name's Annika, and she's played by Maria Bonnevie. They like barely see each other because she's like a night nurse, I think, and working nights, and so they just like are ships in the night, sort of. He asks her if she thinks he's gotten boring as he's gotten older, and she like neither confirms nor denies this. She just says that he's not the same Martin that she first met. Yeah, this scene ends bang on with the crash sound, by the way, which is like brutal. I don't think that that Martin realizes like what this means in this moment, but that's fine.
Yeah.
In context for the whole movie, it's kind of brutal, but yeah. We're just following Martin about his life. It's fairly like doldrummy. He goes to school the next day, and there's like a surprise meeting from a bunch of his students and the parents of those students who are like concerned that he's not properly preparing the students for exams. He like tries to like shake this off and blames the like failure of the students on them like not engaging and not paying attention with his lessons. But it's very much like they can't engage because he's not engaged, you know?
Yeah.
It's pretty clear that like they accuse him of like being dispassionate and not caring about their situation, and he's like, no, that's not true. But like it's not clear whether or not that isn't true, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know you could do this. Like, if I'd known you could go and get the parents on your side and blame the teachers, things I could have tried to do.
This happened at our high school. My brother actually did this once.
No way.
Like turned around and got like a teacher to like sharpen their act up by getting like all the parents to come in and do this exact scene. So that's pretty wild.
Amazing.
This was after we left high school. Yeah.
And then that teacher and 3 other teachers embarked on an interesting little experiment. They later made a film about it.
Could well have been. Yeah, that teacher's name, Mads Mikkelsen. Anyway, he goes home and like even his kids barely talk to him. They're just sort of like stuck in their phones. And then he's going to like an event and picks up Tommy, who I mentioned earlier, the gym teacher, as we're like in Time Solo, who's like has an even more depressing life than Martin does. He's like a divorcee who lives with his dog, who's like very old, and like it doesn't really have much going on in his life at all, even more so than Martin's character. So gets picked up, and then they go to Nikolai's 40th birthday. He's like the young buck teacher among these old gents, I guess. And they go to like an incredibly fancy restaurant. This place looks insane. Like the waiters are like describing every single detail of what they're serving. Like me talking about the back of my beer before this podcast. Like it's fascinating. They're like laying into all this information. I'm like, man, this is a fancy ass place. They serve caviar. God damn.
Imagine if you, like, had that job, you hadn't practiced, and you're just reading the back of a beer bottle, like, oh man, this has ingredients.
Yeah. Notes of water and wheat. It's delicious,
Look,
though.
0% caffeine in this beer.
Oh, that's good. Makes me sleepy. Yes. So initially, Martin doesn't join in on the drinking because he's got work to do the next day. Everyone's having like a glass of wine. It's very chill. Nikolai raises this idea, the like core conceit of the movie that they're talking about, this like weird offhand comment that happens at dinner. They're talking about a Norwegian philosopher named Finn Skårderud has this theory that humans were born with blood alcohol percentage of 0.05 too low, and they would be more capable, more relaxed and poised and courageous in general if they were operating at that level all of the time. This is what this like sort of out there study was about. It's a bit of a fun idea.
Now this is a real guy.
Cool.
But his in his study, he mentions this on the first page as a like, you may feel like this. And then on the second page, he disproves it.
Right.
But so when he heard they were making a movie based on that, he was quite worried because he's a psychiatrist and he
absolutely
wants to make sure people are like, living safely.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But then they consulted him quite a lot on the film to make sure like, to get his expertise because obviously he's done studies on it and also like to make sure that they're not misrepresenting him. And I thought that was really sweet.
It is good. I'm glad they did that. It definitely is a risky premise. Like, being like, it's wild to like hear about this movie and it's like, oh yeah, it's a movie about binge drinking and it's like a positive story. It's just so rare,
Yeah.
Like you would hear that and go like, what? Like, is it saying that binge drinking is a good thing? Clearly it's not. But anyway, I too would be worried if I was the scientist. So that tracks for me. Nikolai very rudely says that this is potentially what Martin is missing in his life.
Yeah.
He like associates it with the problems that Martin's having at school. And as he brings this up in relation to Martin, we go in A Great Gig in the Sky, which is pretty good, honestly. This like change from time to Great Gig like is a change in tone for the conversation, which works really well.
Because like pretty much Time's lyrics have been Mads Mikkelsen's life in this film, like taking away the moments that make up the dull day. 10 years have got behind you, missed the starting gun.
Exactly.
And then now it's all the emotions are getting higher. So let's bring in Great Gig in the Sky. Yeah.
Over the Great Gig in the Sky, we're going to build up this like tension to a boiling point here for Martin, which is really, really great. In terms of like structure for our sakes. Martin's clearly really embarrassed by this. And like his friends try to like big him up and say like, no. They like deflect this, like it's the kid's fault, like bury them in tests and stuff. That's what they say. And they try and say, no, it's nothing to do with you, Martin. Don't worry about it. But Nikolai's like, no, there's a bigger issue at play. Like, he like straight up says that Martin lacks self-confidence and that's like the issue. And it like really cuts him to the core. It's pretty rough to like on his like freaking birthday just to like lay one of your friends low that you barely see. But sure. Anyway, thankfully this awkward scenario is interrupted by people bringing caviar and vodka as like a entree to the dinner. And Martin like has this moment of where he's like sort of keeping to himself and then decides he'll get involved and have some of the vodka. He hasn't drunk up to this point. But he like has some and then just like sort of breaks down over the course of like, his friends are like, oh, cool. Like he's getting involved and he's like moving on and having a drink. But then he just like downs a glass of wine and then another glass of wine in the course of like maybe a minute. And it's like, oh, okay. Oh no. And I do really love the scene that plays when he drinks the vodka as well, because he like looks over and in the background there's like a trio of singers of like singing away, and like the noise of the table and his friends talking like dies away, and when you're not hearing Pink Floyd. And it's really good. Like, it does work with Great Gig as well. Like, having Great Gig playing, it's been playing the whole time, but having Great Gig playing in the context of like that's what he's hearing works really nice as well. So, yeah, it's just smart, just good filmmaking. Yeah. So he has
and good film syncing.
Oh yeah. He has these double glasses of wine, and then has a bit of a breakdown, starts crying, and like says, he doesn't get out much, doesn't see many people, and that like most of his relationships are very strained. Like his relationship with his wife is not good because he barely sees her, and he feels like she's like slipping away. And one of them like suggests like, do you want to move on from your wife? And he's like, no, I love her. She's like been there for me this whole time. That's not what I'm suggesting. And he's just feeling like he's disappointing her in a way by like being distant. It's crazy. It's like it's a really good like self-assessment moment. It's a very pure human moment in this movie, and I was like, damn, it's really good. Really, really well acted by Mads as well.
Oh yeah. It comes so early in the film as well. It kind of throws you off guard. Like, I think that's part of how this movie can get away with, not demonizing binge drinking. It's just by like throwing you off guard like such.
These really good human moments are like really, it like sets it firmly in reality, and it's like there are silly bits in the movie. They're like it's like ostensibly a like comedy / drama, I would say. Like the concept that these guys go into after this point is quite funny on paper, you know?
Yeah.
And like it's definitely done in tongue in cheek. But like it's still very serious. Like they're dealing with incredibly serious subject matter. So it's like while you're having a silly situation play out, it's like it's still it's set in reality. It never leaves that, you know? Yeah.
It's if you want to step into comedy school with a Raw Quest semi-finalist from 6 years ago, Gareth Blackler. Like in improv, once you've found out like what's the funny part of your scene, a good move then is to justify why this character's acting so strange, but to do it with something kind of sweet and emotional.
Yeah.
And then the audience won't go like, oh, this person's crazy. They'll go like, well, this person's different, but I can understand why.
Person's relatable. They go like, oh, I understand now. And they tune themselves into the joke a lot more. I like that. That's a really good piece of comedy advice.
Right. Oh, what can I say?
There you go. Another lesson in the can with old wise old mentor GDB. See, I teach you about drinking, you teach me about comedy. I think that's actually been the element of our show this whole time.
You go on to become like an award-winning comedian once the show ends, and I'm just a sad drunk.
Oh man, the role reversal, wow. Crazy. What a turn of events. Oh, never mind. No, that won't happen. We'll be fine.
Then you start a podcast with like an elite athlete and steal, take theirs as well, and then...
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what I'm building up to.
I'm slowly accumulating power just to... Yeah. I'm the Kirby of podcasters. I just absorb them through 100 episodes and then gain their powers and move on.
Slow Kirby, they call you.
Perfect. Oh, I like it. I like that nickname. Yeah. Okay, we head into money, and Martin's having this like crushing moment of clarity over the like cha-ching noise, which doesn't work. But his boys do reaffirm him and say that they all like looked up to him when they joined the school, and Tommy like lightens the mood by talking about he grew up. Well, he was early friends with Martin, and they like knew each other. Like they grew up in the same town, I think, and reminisce about their younger days. Martin doing jazz ballet and being quite good. The boys are all encouraging him to get up and do a few moves, and he's not having it because he's had this like serious emotional moment. But they all.
Do you know the truth behind this little character tidbit?
No, please.
Okay. Mads Mikkelsen, before he was an actor, was a dancer. And he got into acting because he'd do the dance in musicals and such, and he just wanted to like see the guys. He wanted to join the guys up front acting, so he became an actor at age 30.
Wow!
Look at him now.
Yeah, good work. Yeah. By the end of the end sequence of this movie where he does the dancing. Spoilers. Is fantastic. It's the best part of the whole film. I loved it.
Yeah.
He's a phenomenal dancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. I want to see his like dance movie now, where it's just all about him as like a powerful dance coach or something. That would be fantastic.
Oh, get him in Magic Mike 3, Mike's Last Ride.
Wow.
Like, please.
Oh my
That's
God.
the only franchise he's not been in yet.
People would lose their minds if that happened. They would love that. Oh my God.
Oh, it can just be the exact same scene with Jada Pinkett Smith, but instead they go to Mads Mikkelsen's weird dance mansion.
Yes, perfect.
And it's like, welcome, boys.
In Denmark,
Watch me
too.
dance. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it only makes sense. Mike's got to get overseas for the third one.
Absolutely. Mike on tour.
Yeah, he's got to go find Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. Find him.
Yeah.
Where's he hiding? He's the Carmen Sandiego of strippers. Just throwing away his big red hat into the audience. Oh, love him.
Maybe there is something to this 0.5 alcohol theory, because we've just pitched the perfect third Magic Mike movie.
I feel like we do that every episode.
Every episode, and it's always Magic Mike.
Yeah. But yes, the mood is successfully been lightened, not only in the movie but on this podcast. And they, it's just a bit of roughhousing with the boys. They do an impromptu fast walk race, which I find very funny. Seeing Mads Mikkelsen do this like fantastic like speed walk.
Yeah.
A bit of like arm wrestling, and they're having a grand old time. Again, over like choir music playing over this in the original cut. The next morning, Martin heads off to school, and sneaks into the bathroom as Money's vocal returns. And it's actually happening to me. Wow. He has a swig of vodka before class, bringing his blood alcohol level up to 0.5 per mils. Very confusing unit of measure on screen. It tracks for blood alcohol content, but it's not a percent. It's not 0.5%, because, by the way, if you have 0.5% blood alcohol, you're dead.
Yeah.
That's an incredibly high percentage. So per mil, so like per 1,000 effectively, rather than per 100. He's doing it as like an experiment, as a test to like see whether or not it improves his day. He sort of heads into class and says that he will re-go over the curriculum with the class and see what they have left to cover. Directly addressing their concerns that they brought up the previous day, which is nice. We go into Us and Them, and Nikolai finds Martin after school, and he's like standing in front of his car mid-drink driving aid, being like, I don't think I should drive. And Nikolai's like, why? And he's got the vodka bottle in his pouch, and so Nikolai will drive him home. We also see that Nikolai's life isn't like all sunshine and roses. His wife like barks down the phone at him, like random instructions for him to follow, to like things to get and come home. Nikolai was boasting the previous night at his birthday about how perfect his life was. And like the more we see of it, the less that's true.
Yeah.
Which is quite good.
I love the specificity of it as well. They have to get hay for the rabbit's hutch.
Yeah.
That's how you write.
So real. I liked it. So the group of guys, they like all summoned and gather at Nikolai's house to discuss what happened with Martin today, and they're like, Martin is feeling good, like having a good day because he's had a bit of a drink. And they all decide that it would be a good idea to put this psychologist's theory to the test as an experiment, as a fun experiment where they all try and operate in their day-to-day lives with a blood alcohol content level of 0.05%. And they're like, we won't do it for nothing. We'll write a professional scientific essay about it and publish it. Where we'll do it as like a legitimate experiment with rules and methodology. And it's really funny. the way that it like is written on screen and text for us is very, very good. Like in concept, terrible. Don't do this. You will get fired immediately. But they they write like a very serious intro to an essay, which I really enjoy. And it's like as a device for the movie, it's a lot of fun having these texts come up. I don't like that it's muddied a bit later on because so far the movie's only shown like blood alcohol percent levels, the poem at the very start, and this text. And later on, they use it for text messages as well. And I wish they did something different, but that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I really liked that it was I always find it's so interesting the way you show texting.
It's tough,
in a movie. And like often it's the bubble pops up and the bubble kind of follows them around.
That's what I was expecting.
I kind of liked the gravitas of it's a full screen message for you to just read.
It is much more serious. It feels very like silent movie Charlie Chaplin kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also, it's great when you just get like, no, sad face.
Sad
face.
Like that. Yeah, that's good. I feel like it would maybe land with me better if I could read Danish, but I can't, so I don't know. Anyway. So we go into day one of this experiment with Nikolai's son pissing on him. There was like a brief bit about this earlier where he made a joke about his son's peeing on him in bed.
Yeah.
Also note that Nikolai is sleeping on the couch here as well. Hot tip.
Also note what song is playing, Us and Them.
Yes.
The son urinates. God.
I forgot that verse. Anyway, yes, Martin does his tactic of drinking up in the bathroom and has like a little breathalyzer that I couldn't find at short notice, and makes sure he's at the threshold for the experiment to be true, and then goes into his lesson and delivers a genuinely very engaging history lesson. It's because of it's a number of factors that contribute to it. It seems well prepared, A. B, he's less inhibited and standoffish to the students. He's trying to relate to them a lot more and like getting them involved in the lesson, which is always a plus. I always find if the teacher is like directly asking the questions of the audience and trying to get, or the class and trying to get them involved, tends to be a better, you learn more. It works. It's a tactic that works. Only like I feel like there's another thing. Hang on. The third part is that it seems like he genuinely is caring more about them and wanting them to do well. And like he's taken their like response to heart and is saying, okay, I'm going to do better. The first like the feeling less inhibited could be attributed to the alcohol here. Like it's mostly that he's made a change in how he's doing things. And that is the impetus for why this is so successful. It's a great lesson. I think it's cool that I don't know. I'll get into it maybe a little bit down the track, but I feel like this movie is mostly about self-assessment and less about like, oh, drinking is this magical thing, you know? But his lesson's all about like, he has like 3 election candidates and lists their personal and physical attributes and like ailments only, rather than their names or any of their like actual achievements. and gets the kids to choose which of these they would elect. And the two that they don't go for are Winston Churchill and Franklin D. Roosevelt, and the one they elect is Hitler. So pretty sick, pretty sweet lesson. We go into Any Color You Like for Peter and his like choir lesson that he's teaching. He's also been drinking, and he like is feeling more loose, and he gets his choir to like loosen up and sing together as a group through some like clever exercises, getting them more in tune with one another. And it dramatically improves their performance as a team. And this is also true to life. Fun fact about JCB, I was also in a choir, and we would do things like this, like holding hands and like closing your eyes and singing and stuff like this. And it really does help. It like it makes you think about what you're doing a lot more. So there you go.
Oh, were you in the choir in high school where they needed more boys in the choir?
No.
So they offered us all toy cars?
No, I was prepubescent choir before my voice changed. I had a beautiful like high soprano voice as a little kid. I've got a decent voice now, but not to the same level. It was probably just a confidence high school thing. But anyway, I didn't get a toy car. No. For joining.
It was pretty sweet. It was attached to a pen.
No, that's pretty cool. All right.
Yeah.
How did it drive?
I can't remember. I think it must have unattached, right? Because the pen was definitely underneath the car.
The pen is underneath the car. It sounds like some kind of bizarre maxim from another language that I don't understand.
That hasn't translated properly.
Yeah. People say, the pen is mightier than the sword. And you say, but the pen is underneath the car. And you're like, oh, okay. Perfect. There's nowhere to go.
If you email syncfloydpod@gmail.com, that could be a magnet.
So many magnets. Have you got a magnet guy now or something?
No, I need to find one.
Yeah, desperately.
If you're a magnet guy, email syncfloydpod@gmail.com.
Yeah, we'll give you a shit. So the crew quickly have like a discussion in the staff room. They feel like it's going well and it's working, but Tommy is not here because he is out with 10-year-old kids drinking. Not good. Not at all good. But okay, we're here. Anyway, he's like coaching like a 10-year-old soccer team. These kids look really young. I'm guessing 10.
Yeah.
And there's a little like nerdy kid who's called Specs. That's his like nickname. And they're like, he does like a little bit of trying to get this kid more accepted by the team, getting them to like share their drink bottles around. Weird in a time of COVID for this to happen, but but yeah, it's funny because he's like sort of melded into this role of being like a hard ass coach with a heart of gold, which is very fun for him. But so it's going well for him too. It's less clear for Tommy, I would say, than the others, but because his audience is only little kids, little beans, Martin goes home and he has like a proper conversation with his wife for the first time in a while. They like have a nice meal together, and like he like takes the time to like talk to her about the kids and reminisces about the canoe holiday that they had, and wants to do that again, like is planning a holiday. And she's like, wow, you're like a different person. What is going on? Because he's like got this new lease on life kind of happening because of this change. And Pink Floyd agree. They say, I can't think of anything to say at the end of Brain Damage here. Because she can't. She's like, what? Yes. So we end up playthrough 1 here, and Tommy's like hiding spot for his booze is discovered in the gym. He's just got like bottles of stuff all over the like storage room in the gym, assuming that no one would go in there because he's like one of the few people that have keys. But the fact that someone found booze in there is really bad because his narrow list of suspects includes him, basically. So, leash. he does the smart thing and reports it to the principal himself so that there's like an inquest related to the students rather than the teachers, which is pretty smart. Pretty underhanded, but pretty smart.
Yeah.
And yeah, we end up playthrough 1 on this over the heartbeats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we begin playthrough 2 with Mads saying he hasn't felt this good in ages. And much like how playthrough 2 increases the amount of Pink Floyd in your system by a second play of Pink Floyd, the boys decide they're going to increase the alcohol in their systems.
Yeah. They decide that, Mads is like, I feel like I could go higher. And Peter's apprehensive because they nearly got caught, but gets convinced when they listen to a bit of piano music. That's how you get him on side. So they conclude that the second part of this study is going to be choosing one's own optimal blood alcohol content level. And so they aren't restricted by the 0.05% limit from before, and they are allowed to choose their own level in order to determine the optimal level for professional and social performance. So clinically written, it's really, really funny. Yes. This is cut into the weirdest part of the whole movie, I think, and that they intercut like real shots and news reports around the world of world leaders and politicians like drunk or allegedly drunk. It's very weird.
Most of this footage is also just from a YouTube video of celebrities acting drunk. Oh, I mean politicians.
I feel like it shouldn't. I feel like it probably should have been cut. It's a bit bizarre, but that's fine.
Definitely on second playthrough, it's like, this never really comes back. This isn't like part of it. This isn't like they're not loading an arrow into their quiver. They're just waving this arrow around.
Maybe this is a thing. Under the Silver Lake did this as well with the random magazine shots of hidden messaging and advertising that was completely unnecessary. It's like, yeah, we get it. You don't need to show us a bunch. I don't know. It seems kind of silly being like, yeah, this thing's real, guys. Look at all this stuff we found. I don't know. It took me out of it. Pretty unnecessary.
Yeah, considering it's not the message. If it was going to be like the incredibly similar Mitchell and Webb sketch about being slightly drunk, where it turns out that's how they run the world.
Oh, such a good sketch.
Right? Then that would be justified. By the way, rewatched that sketch after watching this movie.
Yeah.
So good.
Hard
Google
agree.
a Mitchell and Webb inebriati.
Oh, very strong.
It's this, but sillier.
Good. Martin, the following morning, drinks more and more in the morning. It's like he has a fun sort of party moment where he flips the glass around and prepares a cocktail at 8 in the morning. And yeah, we go into On the Run as he builds up his percentage up to his percentage, per mil up to 1.2. So percentage, it's 0.12 blood alcohol. It's maths, man. Who knew? Yeah. And yeah, wanders comes on into school and wanders through the staff room and bumps his head. There's music playing over this whole sequence right up until him bumping his head, by the way, in the original cut. Again, emphasizing that music, happiness, enjoying your life thing. Yeah, gives himself a nosebleed as well. And Tommy covers for him very well, being like, oh yeah, he's fine, don't worry about it. Very good. And I was annoyed because this crash doesn't happen alongside the On the Run crash. That happens basically when he starts this next successful lesson, which is a bit of a shame. It could if we got the On the Run crash along with Mads Mikkelsen bashing his head into a wall, that would be very good. Apologies, Mads, but I feel like that would be great. You were going to do it anyway. Why couldn't you line it up for me?
Mads Mikkelsen, by the way, one of the few actors we can confirm likes Pink Floyd.
Oh, yes.
And that he mentioned once in an interview he likes Pink Floyd.
Perfect. Quote.
Yeah.
Love it. There you go. Yeah. So yeah, time coming in as he has this another banger of a lesson where, like, again, relating to the kids, talking about like famous people throughout history and relating that back to present day drinking culture, being like all these old like heroes and like Roosevelt and what's his name? God, it's gone from my mind. The other one. Anyway, Churchill. They like heavy drinkers, and like he's saying that like he relates it back to the kids and their drinking and says like even with this like pressure of social drinking and like it's whether or not you succeed in the exam is up to you. Like you guys need to be thinking about these characters and like who they are, how we are going to learn about them. But like also they were like heavy drinkers just like you, and look at what they have done. Like they had these hugely successful careers, you know? So yeah, it's a fun, like relatable thing for these kids, and they love it. They lap it up and give him like a round of applause.
Yeah.
Right as Time's vocal kicks in, which is very funny. It's like they're applauding Pink Floyd coming on.
Here they are.
Yes. So I enjoyed that. And yeah, Nikolai's been watching from like the window and is very impressed with the results of this experiment. Absolutely loving it.
I thought this was so sweet that he's just like, my friend.
Yeah, so proud of my boy. He's turned it around. He must be stoked because like he did this really bad thing at his birthday being like, oh man, you're struggling, aren't you? Let me point that out in front of some of your closest friends. And then, like turned it somehow into something really positive. So like through no help of his own, really. But anyway, he instigated good accidentally, so he must be feeling great. Anyway, Martin says he texts his wife and says that he's booked this fall camping trip and canoe holiday because he's got this newfound spark and zest for life. And this is where we get that like, no sad face text, I'm busy. And yeah, gets her to like asks her to change her shifts so that the kids and her can come along. Yeah, Nikolai again, like taking this like positive streak, goes and like takes things, I would say, a little bit too far. And then he goes up into his like little secret office place and starts drinking and sniffing the alcohol, like taking it up his nose. There was it took me like this until the second watch to figure out what this was about. I thought he was just doing drugs, but no, he's actually like putting vodka in his nose as part of like a separate add-on theory that he has. Which is so weird. But hey, maybe it probably would work the same. It would just be awful. I can't imagine vodka being up your nose being a pleasant experience in any regard. But I don't know.
It was entirely to avoid it being on his breath, right?
Yeah, he didn't want to get detected.
And they'll see his wet nose and assume he's a healthy dog.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Oh, look at that. He looks like a healthy dog when you look at him. Yeah, he's got a kind old face. Big cheeks. You love him. But yeah, he doesn't...
I pray that one day someone will say that about me.
Oh, it's very sweet. So he goes back to his class and tries like to replicate what's going on with Martin, but he doesn't really have the same kind of panache. He's the kids are just reading quotes. Psychology doesn't have the same kind of like kick-ass relatable feel that history does, obviously. He can't tap into anything, and so it doesn't go as well. Meanwhile, Tommy has gotten his little kids to work together as a team, gets them all to sing like the Danish national anthem before their soccer match, which is really cute. And he's like drinking, like he's standing in the sun. There's a shot of him like drinking from his water, quote unquote, bottle, and the sun just beating down on the back of him. And we also see that he still has the lowest percentage out of everyone drinking as well, but it's affecting him way more because he's out in the sun here, I think. So that's just an interesting thing to note, just with where he goes later. But yeah. Yeah, so yeah, like his optimal level is much lower than the rest of the guys, or at least Martin's from what we saw. But yeah, anyway, he's like telling these little kids, like barking commands at them like like a true soccer coach for like FIFA or something, and like is just like telling them who to pass to and make plays and stuff, and he like arranges it so that little boy Specs gets to shoot a goal, and it's this huge happy celebratory moment right as we go into Great Gig in the Sky, which does not sync at all, but it is a great moment in the movie, so you know they can't all be winners. Like I love that also all the friends are here, like Martin and Peter and Nikolai are all just on the sidelines of this kid's soccer match here to support Tommy, the coach. It's very funny. And yeah, they just sort of hang out and have fun after the soccer game, play a bit of soccer as well. And they sit down on a bench and have a bit of self-assessment, just like Martin did. Peter talks about wanting to find a wife and kids, and he like hopes it's not too late for him, which I found really touching. Like he's going through his own thing and is now like opening up to the rest, and I thought that was great. Like, yeah, it's got this whole weird thing coming up now though, which I need to talk about. This, like, I'm glad he had at least this wholesome part to his story, because if it was just this next scene, I would be very uncomfortable with him as a character. Yeah, he has a very odd encounter with a student called Sebastian, who isn't in his class, but he is in Nikolai's class, actually, and is struggling with a psychology exam pending, and just, like, falling to bits under the immense pressure of school. He's already been held back a year because he had, like, a breakdown during last year's exams, and his self-confidence is completely shattered, and he's like terrified of failing again this year because it happened last year, and he's just reliving that over and over again. It's really rough. It's like incredibly relatable. Going through university, I've definitely been there, bro. Like hard times, you know. And like I've had conversations like this with my tutors, and they like really helped. So he's like, at least that's a positive part of this. However, Peter's advice is, hey, maybe do a shot before the exam, which is not good. Don't do that. That's not good teaching. That is wild advice. Oh my God. I get how he got to that stage, being like, I'm doing this drinking thing. It's been really helping me. Let me pressure a kid into drinking. Oh my God.
Well, it's like human nature to be like, this is working for me. Let me find a way to, this must work for you if it works for me. But,
exactly.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's a real yikes of a scene. And
again, like, this movie's so good with, like, playing with the knots. It's like it was a scout. It's so good with knots. Like, the knottiness of this situation, and then it kind of, like, to jump ahead, kind of works.
It redeems it, yeah.
It works, but it also worries you, because it's like, well, what's going to be next for this kid if he thinks this is the only way to do exams?
If this is the lesson, like, what does this mean? Does he, like, go on to, like, make the new season of Mad Men? Like, how does it go down, you know? So, yeah, we go to this family bonding holiday now, a much more wholesome scene. With Martin and his fam out in the canoes, and they play like a guessing game around the fire, like guess the animal, which I found really cute. What a game.
Bring back guess the animal.
He's like, does it live in the savannah? No. And I love that the little kid is just always guessing just like random animals, and he's like, you narrowed it down to like 1 million different animals. It's so good.
What animal do you think it is? Because it doesn't live in the savannah, and it doesn't live in the Swedish forest, and it's not a sea cow.
Yeah, it's tough. They didn't ask if it lived in the sea, which is like probably the first question I would ask. If it's like sea, air, or land would be my first question. if that's
And then
allowed,
I go like
you know?
reptile, mammal,
Yeah.
bird, assuming land.
Yeah.
Okay.
These land birds. We're proud land bird havers.
I was so distracted by the old the concept of sky lizards.
Oh, the sky lizards. They're airborne lizards all over the place. They sail down with their sunglasses on, and they tell you to put your beers in the fridge.
Oh, magnet! Now the lizard's gonna have little wings.
Yeah.
Oh man, you know when you have 8/10 of a glass of wine and you're just really concerned about flying lizards?
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Oh man, should I crack into my fourth beer on mic? Should that happen?
I think so. I'm
Okay.
also wondering if I should outsource the edit for this in case I cringe too hard at my...
Send it to some poor Sebastian out there and get them to do it. Oh god! If you're editing this podcast right now, please write in to syncfloyd@gmail.
We find out through that Topher Grace edits down our podcast into like
Topher,
listenable, manageable episodes.
Thank you, Topher, for your hard work. We love you. We love you dearly.
You're allowed to release them.
Cannot believe we conscripted you into this. That's very good. Yes. So there's this camping holiday happening. Martin sleeps with his wife for the first time in probably like years.
Yeah.
And she like can't believe it. She has like a sort of emotional breakdown after this, starts crying, and she says she doesn't know what's happening. But she says, she's like, I don't know. I think I missed you. And I think I've missed you for a long time, maybe too long, is what she says.
That maybe too long is heavy.
Yeah, it's real heavy. There's like a long hold on Mad's face after that as well, which is, it's tough. Nikolai gathers the crew round again back to his. For part 3 of the experiment, his proposal, he wants to achieve the maximum BAC, the maximum blood alcohol content, like a nutcase. He's like, okay, we've done this. We found the optimal levels. Now let's test the limits of alcohol's capabilities by going to. He talks about a state of ignition where the body either gives up and goes home. Like you decide to do that, and then, or alternatively, you like go over the edge and keep drinking. And you just want more and more and more alcohol until you reach a state of oblivion, or AKA blacking out or death. So yeah, he's saying like, let's do that. That'll be fun. And everyone's like, yeah, okay, sure. It's been fun so far, this experiment. Let's keep going. Martin, his life is going really well at this point. He's like, I think this is the point where I bow out, he says. He's like, I think I'm going to go. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay, that's fine. They don't pressure him. He's like preparing to stick around, and Nikolai prepares Sazerac cocktails for the group. Have you had a Sazerac before, Gareth?
I have not had a Sazerac.
I have. It's very good.
Okay.
They are like, they live up to the portrayal of the Sazerac in this movie is pitch perfect. Like the way to prepare it, everything's spot on. That is the way to do it. If you want to learn how to make a Sazerac, that is how you do it. It's great. They are very, very strong drinks, I will admit. And that they're like Prohibition era designed. But yeah, very enjoyable. I'm a fan of the Sazerac. There you go.
Okay.
Probably not
I feel
in
like
moderation.
a Sazerac may kill me.
Possible. You don't want to be having more than one like these guys have. Sort of takes you out. Yeah. Anyway. So Martin gets up to leave as we get into the tail end of the money. With the like, which ends with, I don't know, I was really drunk at the time, etc., just echoing over and over again in the background. And he like gets enticed to like join in on the cocktails, but with this, like, it's like Pink Floyd are calling him back to come back in. And yeah, so he comes in and tries the Sazerac, basically not wanting to be left out. And the party continues. They listen to the Meters, Sissy Strut, which is a fucking great tune, by the way.
Ooh.
Oh, love this song. Absolute banger of a song. Just a good groove to it. Like a classic track as well. On vinyl too. Oof. And yeah, they all have like a dance together. And Martin excluded. He just keeps making drinks because, again, he don't dance no more.
Yeah.
How come you don't dance no more, Coach Z? Out of the game. He keeps blaming his back. It's really funny. He's an old man. But yeah, this night like evolves because they decide that they need to go and purchase fresh cod for Nikolai's family. When his wife left, she was like, make sure you get fresh cod for the dinner tomorrow. And they're like, okay. Like really emphasized it as important, but everyone's like too drunk to function at the supermarket.
Yeah.
To get it. It's really bad. They make a huge scene. There's a bit where like Peter like stands inside like a shopping basket and tumbles over backwards. Very funny. I
love this scene. I love that it happens to the line about ordinary men.
Yes.
Just watching how the outside world sees these boys.
These little ordinary men. I love that from here as well. They go down to the docks to try and fish up some fresh cod as the next logical step. So funny. Like, Mads Mikkelsen just like spearing the like handle end of a net into the water to try and stab a fish.
Yeah, or donk it on the head or something.
So funny. But yeah, it doesn't work great. This also establishes that Tommy has a boat down here at the docks as well that they like are planning to go on, but it's too difficult. They're all too drunk, and so they're like, we won't go. Instead, they hit a bar. They go to a bar and have a grand old time here. Peter plays the piano. It does like a rousing song for everybody. He's just in his underwear inexplicably playing the piano. Wow, what a powerful energy. I hope one day to be Peter as a piano player. I would love to be the person at a piano bar with everyone singing around me. What a glorious moment. As a piano player, that's something I aspire to have someday.
Yeah.
I just need to learn more show tunes, I think.
Yeah, because the people who are going to sing it are going to be people who know show tunes.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to be me coming on up trying to be the Rom-Tum Tugger, and you'll be like, oh no.
I cannot play anything from Cats yet.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but yeah, they just have a great time at this bar. Like, it seems to be like it's very silly and they're getting out of control here, but like, they are having way too much fun. Like going back to it's like a youth's night out on the town, you know, when you first turn 18 and you hit the clubs, that kind of vibe. Highlights of this night. Martin does like a stage dive off of the bar and gets caught, which is fantastic. Never seen that happen. Also, there's this insane scene for like multiple reasons slightly before this where Nikolai eats his own money. He like tries to buy fish and chips at the bar and like keeps putting down more and more money, and they're like, no, the kitchen's closed, we can't do that. And he's like, well, I'll just eat the money then, and he puts it in his mouth. But that isn't the weirdest thing, because in the background, Mads Mikkelsen is just holding an egg. He's got a little egg in his hand. I only caught it on the Pink Floyd watch, and I was like, "Why has he got an egg? what does this mean?" I don't know. Oh, it's so weird. Was he trying to pay with the egg? I don't know. We didn't get it.
Did he bring it from home?
I don't know. Maybe he just has eggs in his pockets.
Oh, we can only hope.
That is what if I ever meet Mads Mikkelsen, I'm going to ask him about the egg in this one scene. Why were you holding an egg? What does that mean?
Yeah. And then he'll just hand you the egg that was in his pocket and walk away.
Oh, man, what an honor. If I could just walk away from that interview with an egg from Mads, oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or what if he's doing like a school project and he has to keep the egg alive and he's like, oh, but I've got to shoot another round this week as well.
Oh no. He's doing that classic learn his own lesson in his spare time about caring for people. So good.
Yeah, it's not even school. It's just the school of life. Mads
Yeah.
has set himself an assignment.
Got to carry around this egg. I did it before I accepted the gig, and now, yeah. Damn eggs never cracked. I'm just too good. I'm Mads Mikkelsen.
I'm just too good at caring.
Yeah. That poor egg, though. Oh, it didn't get the big bucks a bit. It wasn't a headliner on the poster or anything. I feel like needs to be credited at the very least.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope it's real. I hope I haven't imagined the egg. I hope I've watched it like after having some drink. So maybe I just thought I saw the egg. If you saw the egg, please write in to syncfloydpod@gmail.com.
Oh my gosh. What if it's like, you drink a wine, you get worried about lizards, you drink a few beers, you start seeing the lizard's eggs.
Oh God. I don't want to see the lizard's eggs. That is definitely not what I need in my life.
That's another magnet.
Never see the lizard's eggs.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's not what I want in my life.
I'm just checking the movie right now. Yes, okay. I'm just seeing. I'm doubted myself, doubted the egg. He's got the egg. It's a hard-boiled egg that he's eating.
Oh, you beauty.
He's he takes the shell off of it as Nikolai eats the money, and it's just like holds it out to him, like offering that instead, I think, of the money. Oh, I cracked it. I cracked the egg case, Gareth.
Nice. Send me a screenshot. We'll tweet this egg photo at SyncFloydPod, or we'll email it to you if you ask.
Oh, directly. Direct to the listeners. Anyway.
Why don't we see Gareth and James anymore? Oh, they're just too busy with their sending emails now.
They send emails all the time. They should set up some auto forwards. It's all about eggs and strange magnets and things. They've got their fingers in many pies.
Yeah.
Just like the characters in this film, we've gone too far, Gareth. These, the Nikolai is come home and is trying to like climb the stairs. Is incapable of doing so. It's like getting slammed with reality after having this crazy night out, you know?
Yeah.
There's a really rough scene where he pisses the bed in a similar manner to his son, and he's like, why does it matter? My son pisses on me every night. And his wife is obviously furious because we all know that's not the same thing, you know?
Yeah. But so heartwarming in that the father and son wet themselves during the same song, just different plays.
That is heartwarming. Good stuff. Man, the generational album play. Man, it happened again. Who knew? So we go right into so she goes and stays with her sister anyway. And we go into Any Color You Like as we see that Martin hasn't even made it home. He's like passed out on the lawn of his neighbor's house with this like huge gash in his forehead. And his son like very embarrassingly like finds him and walks him home. And he sleeps all through the day and has this like very awkward dinner with his family after this. And Annika asks him to explain himself and what happened. And he says, I got a little drunk yesterday, boys. And they're like, but Dad, you've been drunk for a while now, haven't you? It's like, oof. Everyone knew. Everyone saw what was going on. And they were not going to comment on it, you know? They saw how well he was doing, but then they also saw this like descent into alcoholism, and they were concerned. Annika like sends the kids off to their room so that she can have a serious discussion with Martin, and he she confronts him about this like awful alcohol thing that he's doing, and he confronts her about the distance between them. And she's like, you've been pushing me away for years, like shutting me out. And she says, when you have fun, it's with someone other than me. And he confronts her being like, are you also having fun with someone other than me? She's like, what? And then admits that she's she admits to infidelity, basically.
Yeah.
She's been sleeping with someone else, saying that she says she couldn't sit there and wait for him. And it's like, fuck, damn. So all these times that she's been going like out on nights and stuff, we can't be sure that she wasn't like sleeping with somebody else. Oh, it's awful.
Yeah.
And yeah, Martin like flips out, obviously. He says he doesn't need anyone to wait for him. They'd never asked for that. And he's like very upset by the whole thing. This huge outburst and walks out, freaking out his kids as well, who like reappear. It's not good.
Because he's like smashing glasses and stuff as well.
Yeah. Yeah, like does the like sweep off the table of everything that was there. It's very scary. It's a very dark scene. And yeah, it goes into this secondary like bender scene where like the lads have like gathered in solidarity and are having another like drink into oblivion moment. But this is so dark. It's very like literally it's shot very shadowy and over like a very like filmy lens and dark lighting. And it's very real to what the experience of being way too drunk feels like. I think this is possibly the best it's ever been captured, because like there's the audio is really fuzzy, but we can't hear that as well. And there's lots of like yelling out and falling over and feeling sick, and everything's really blurry and like hard to focus on. But it's still you feel the strain that you feel when you're too drunk. You know, like it's. Oh, it's really, really well done. Like, and it's the one part of the movie where they try and do this. I expected this a lot more throughout the whole film, but most of the time it's shot like perfectly normal, like almost like documentary style. You know, but like this is like this is just so. It's really going for a certain feeling. It's a very like emotional way to film someone, and it works great. And we're getting brain damage over this as well, which is like the perfect pairing too. So it's super dark, rough scene. And I do like that after this, they're just us all sitting around the countertop at Nikolai's house, and there's no dialogue, but the text on screen appears saying that they are abandoning the experiment due to terrible social outcomes and the potential of alcoholism, is what they say. So I do like that no one's like discussing it. It's just known that is how this ended, you know? It's great.
Yeah, well, it doesn't need someone going like, well, that was bad.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't need Mads to look at the camera and go, well, that happened.
Yeah.
We know.
We know.
Move us to the next plot point. It's good.
Exactly. So we do that. We roll into Eclipse and the end of the playthrough 2. And it's now like the end of the year. We've got it's like Christmas break. The kids are away before graduation. I think the school years are different in Europe. Like I believe they go from like April to March, like same as like financial year here. I think that's how it works. That's why like Harry Potter and stuff's all messed up in terms of like year structure. But anyway, we see Martin's like eating alone at his house, and then he gets called in like because implying that like his wife has left him and the kids are not there as well. And there's a staff meeting where the principal confronts everyone about she's discovered that there has been drinking among the staff on campus, and is trying to address that when Tommy walks into this meeting so drunk that he can barely stand. And this is like I said that the last scene was dark. This is really, really hard to watch. I was like, it's massively uncomfortable and it's just really sad. Like this poor guy is just, he's given up. Like this experiment has had such poor lasting effects on him. And it's driven him, it's changed who he is. Like, or maybe it's like reinforced part of his life from his past that shouldn't have been brought back, you know? Like everyone's sort of regressed back to things from their past. But for Tommy, his past wasn't a positive, you know, and he's like come back as this, he wasn't ready for it, you know? That's my theory anyway. It's really rough. It's really hard to see this. And that's how we end playthrough 2 here with this. And
which
Martin,
feels thematic as well.
yeah,
I gotta say.
definitely. We're getting like the heartbeats over like Martin taking Tommy home and like looking after him. And
the silence is echoed. The silence of the albums is echoed only by the teachers on screen.
Too true. And yeah, we'll go into playthrough 3, and yeah, he like stays with him and like looks after him, has a meal, and like has to several times like tell Tommy not to have another drink. Like Tommy's like, friends are around. Like, I think I've got a couple of beers, and then Martin's like, no, we better not. And he's like, oh yeah, like, and that's very true to an alcoholic as well. Like, it's so good. It's such a well like acted and nuanced scene, you know. Like, it says a lot without saying too much, you know. Anyway, yeah. So they reminisce about the good old days once more, like when they were young, and they just have a nice time here for a little bit. And Martin goes to leave. Tommy says, "I don't need you to come around and look after me." Like as a pride thing, but he says he recognizes that he fucked up, and he promises to make amends with the school. And as he goes out the door, he like calls back to Martin and says that he is really rooting for him, and like is rooting for both him and Annika to work things out. And I think that's so sweet. Like it's really, really touching that he's like, it's just a good friend moment, you know? Anyway. It's making me emotional. God.
That's another thing. I don't know if it's the movie. I don't know if it's that it's been a long week or if it's this 9/10 of a glass of wine. But you describing the scenes is hitting me equally as hard as watching the scenes. Like the emotion.
Yeah. It's just like it's a really tough part of the movie to get through, and it's like super important for the structure of the movie. If it didn't have this, I feel like it would be a much weaker film, you know?
Yes, for sure.
Because it still deals with all of the bad stuff that goes along with drinking, and it really needs to, and it gives it its time in the sun, and like for everyone to see. It lays it bare in the movie, but it doesn't dwell on it as the moral, and I think that's so impressive and powerful, you know?
Yeah, that's a perfect like summary of this film.
Yeah.
That it doesn't dwell on it as the moral.
Yeah. We go into On the Run, and Martin has a meeting with Annika under the guise of like discussing one of their son's birthdays. They're now like separated for like a couple months, I think. And he asks her for another chance, effectively, but it's too soon and still too raw for her. She gets upset and leaves. Martin, like his apology, to his credit, is like very heartfelt. It's just that she's like not ready for it and like feels sort of blindsided by it. Martin's obviously been thinking about it for ages, but she's like still it's still too raw for her, you know. And then she thought this was going to be a discussion about a birthday, and then it's about, hey, take me back, you know? So fair play on both sides here. But yeah, Martin says that he wishes they were still together, and he says that pushing her away or like driving her away is he considers to be the biggest mistake of his life, and he loves her. And yeah, she like very sadly, like he gets up and leaves, like mulling this over. Right as she leaves, we get the clocks in time kicking in. So we have the crash sound over this conversation, over them like being awkward and like semi-arguing, but not like just not wanting to talk about it. And yeah, right as the clocks kick in, like an alarm, she's just out, you know? So that's a sync. So back at school, the kids return, and Martin goes in class and says, realizes that he's covered everything off. He's like covered the entire curriculum. There's nothing left to teach them. And the students are great. They're like feeling really confident and really prepared, and they're really thankful to Martin. they're impressed with him. One of them says, "It's like you changed gears," is what he says.
Yeah.
Which is like, and yeah, he's like, well, thank you, and like wishes them luck on the exams, and yeah, it's really wholesome because they were like really concerned, and then they had this meeting, and then he completely changed and did like such a good job from the students' perspective that they did like the exact right thing, you know?
Yeah.
But little did they know, he's just quaffing a little bit of vodka before each class. Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah, it's gonna be like beautiful for those kids' confidence. To be like,
exactly.
Oh man, we just talked to the teacher about it, and now
everything's
he
fine.
Completely changed.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It only gets better, really.
I hope they never find out.
Yeah. So we see Sebastian doing his oral psychology exam, where he comes in, chooses a number, and he can like barely function. He's like in tears immediately. Peter chases after him. They go into his office and they have alcohol together to like calm Sebastian's nerves. It's just one of the most off scenes in the whole movie. It feels like exploitative and wrong, obviously.
Yeah, and he kind of pressures them into it as well.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. However, I have a solution to fix this scene. This alcohol, Gareth, is Michael's secret stuff from the movie Space Jam. It's confidence juice. It's not real alcohol. It's just water, and he had the power in him the whole time. That's how I choose to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All we need is you to then pop in as another teacher and be like, a bottle of water. I'm the science teacher who can tell by looking at liquids what they are.
Yes. I've got that. I tested the pH of this with my tongue. It turned blue. And now I know. Anyway. Yeah, so Sebastian, like after this, comes back in the room and delivers his talk, which very, very hilariously, a little bit too tongue-in-cheek really, is about anxiety and about the fear of failure. It's a little on the nose, guys. Like, surely he would realize that it's quite ironic that he's got a wealth of experience in this exact issue. Surely he'd be very well prepared to talk about it. But anyway. It's just, it's fun. It's fun that it's like that's what the talk is about. Anyway, it goes really well. And we go out we see Tommy. He's going out on the boat with his dog. He is drunk.
Yeah.
Pretty clearly, because he's unable to put on his life jacket and just sort of throws it aside. And yeah, we see him like sailing off into the sunset here. We also are having the choir performance at the end of the movie here too, with like Peter's like grand successful moment. And yeah, so we have this like the singing and Tommy on his boat and the graduating students all given little caps. For graduation,
little sailor caps.
Little sailor cap must be a thing over there in Denmark, you know. I like it a lot. And yeah, they're all graduating and having a great time, and the students are proud, the parents are proud, and the teachers are very proud. And yeah, it's nice. We do get a shot of Tommy's boat though, out in the ocean with just his dog on it. We don't see Tommy, and
I was squinting so hard trying to see him. I really wanted him to be there.
Yeah, and we see Martin amongst the celebrations of everyone here, everyone cheering, everyone singing. Martin receives the news. Nikolai comes over and whispers in his ear and tells him that Tommy has died out at sea. We don't actually hear it in the movie. We just find out immediately after. But it's so powerful seeing like everyone happy and celebrating right at the end here, right at the end of time, going into a great gig. And we see just Martin just sitting down like in complete shock, like surrounded by all these happy celebrating people. It's really very powerful scene. Yeah, so like immediately thereafter, we have Tommy's funeral, and the boys are all pallbearers. very sweetly, the little 10-year-old soccer team are all here in their soccer uniforms.
Yeah.
And they sing the national anthem and like Specs throws a little flower onto Tommy's coffin. So that's his like lasting legacy. I really love that. It's so heartfelt and sweet, you know, that he like he did this one really good thing, you know, like he brought this team together and really helped this one kid. It's like, fuck yeah, that's his legacy, especially at the funeral. Very good. Yeah. So after the ceremony, the group all gather and they're like, what would Tommy do now? And we see that this is intercut with the students celebrating in town and having a good time. And that's really lovely of a great gig as well. And I feel like a lesser movie would end here. But we've got one final sequence for this movie. And it's easily my favorite part of the whole film. Because, right at the end of the track here, leading into Money, the guys travel down to the waterfront and decide to have a nice meal and a drink of like sparkling wine in celebration of Tommy's memory. And they discuss where their lives are at now after the experiment. We see that Nikolai's like made up with his wife and they're now like a stronger power couple than ever. Is what he says. He like whether or not this is true or this is more of his boasting is left up to interpretation, which I quite like. He could just be lying. We don't know. Peter is seeing a substitute teacher at the school in hopes of like growing a closer relationship, maybe getting married in the future. Very nice.
Yeah.
He makes a really funny joke about a musical joke about church modes, which I found great. Just like super niche musical reference, which is so good.
And then for us dummies, he does a D sharp joke.
Yeah.
Which can only mean one thing.
And
if you don't know what it means, email syncfloydpod@gmail.com.
Yeah, we'll tell you the joke. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Martin at this dinner is just sort of like hearing these stories from his friends, and he receives a text from Annika in reply to an unseen text, or possibly just in response to their conversation that we saw earlier, that she misses him a lot, is what she says. And he replies, I think that Tommy is rooting for us, in his text, and she agrees. And that leaves their relationship in a better place. It puts them on the path to rebuilding, but it doesn't like close it off, which is another really great part of this ending. So as he's texting his wife, we see that the group of students arrive on the back of this like enormous truck, which is like celebrating graduation in Denmark is huge. It looks awesome. These guys, they're coming down to the boardwalk for like a big celebration and a big party, and they're like, oh, it's our students. And they go out there and go and see them. And they're like heralded as like returning heroes, these teachers. They love them. They lift Peter up into the air. And they're all celebrating, having a great time, hugging each other, blasting out the music from the intro to the movie. And Martin finally, under the pressure of his friends, busts out his jazz ballet dance moves, and it's awesome. It's a really good dance sequence that gets like more and more confident as it goes on. He starts like ranging all over. He does like some sweet like flips and shit. It's so cool.
Some jumps and slides and all this good stuff.
Yeah, there's a beautiful shot which is from the poster for this movie, which is all the students setting off like shaking up champagne bottles and like pouring them over Mads as he's like mid-dance here. And it's so celebratory and so happy. And the movie ends with him doing like a big leap into like a swan dive off of the end of the pier. That's
just freeze frames.
Yeah. And that's it. We go into the credits and that's the movie. We do go into like us and them for part of this ending, which isn't a fantastic sync, but whatever. No. Like, you know, I'm too happy about how this movie ends to care.
Yeah.
What did you think? How did it sync? Let me know in the comments below.
I mean, Look, we were texting about this episode and came up with the hilarious idea to have a few for it.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, my little producer brain was like, yeah, that's going to be the gimmick, because I can't really, it's not going to sync. But boy, is my face red.
Yeah.
And not just from the alcohol. It synced really well. Like, especially Mads Mikkelsen and his journey. He took us all through the album 2.5 times.
Yeah,
guided us like the shepherd and we were the sheep. I honestly think this was a very good number.
Very high. Yeah, I would heartily agree. There's a lot of good stuff that lined up, like both on like a emotional level and on like in terms of like tone, and also with just the traditional things lining up with syncs, you know, how we do on the show. Yeah, I was super impressed as well. I'd be happy with like a 9, honestly.
Will we regret it in the morning? Maybe. But isn't this kind of, thematic as well?
Yeah.
I'm happy with a 9.
Yeah.
Right there with Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Oh, yeah. Another great dance movie.
Yeah. But whereas another Magic Mike 2, one of the great dance movies, is much lower. So
much lower.
Who knows what you're going to get?
Not conclusive science, much like the science done in this film, Gareth. You never know. You never know what's going to strike you.
Magic Mike 3 will strike us, but they're not letting us write it yet, so who's to say?
It's all part of our methodology, though. We'll cover it off. We'll give it the same treatment as we do everything else.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, except for this one episode where we got drunk. Follow us on SyncFloydPod at twitter.com, at SyncFloydPod@gmail.com, and on Facebook.com.
Yeah.
Just at your local pub. We're in the coffee news. We're in there. I bought an ad.
I would love us to be in the coffee news.
Imagine.
That's so perfect.
At your local fish and chippy, you just see the Sync Floyd ad. Who knew? Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll call Coffee News after tomorrow.
That would be so good.
Okay.
If you have seen us in the coffee news, email syncfloydpod@gmail.com.
This is our most plug happy episode. Oh, so good.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. For next week.
Yeah.
We've got a movie to cover, James.
Okay.
And I don't know if you have looked at the cover to the album Dark Side of the Moon. If you do, you're going to see white light and it hits this mysterious triangle.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes out as all kinds of colors. But I don't care about most of those colors.
What?
Because to me, that white light, once it hits that, it's turning red.
Ooh.
Which is why the next film we're covering is 2022's Turning Red.
Okay.
Pixar, Disney, Red Panda movie.
Oh.
Turning Red.
Sweet. Okay. Man, another really modern one. Okay.
Yeah, I'm a modern man. I like my modern things. My wine is from 2021.
Wow. Oh, wow. Yeah, you are a modern man. Congratulations. Have you finished the glass? Was that what that was there? Just a big old sip?
I'll finish it right now. Tiny sip.
Okay.
We'll finish it and we'll end the episode as I finish it.
Here's to you, listener.
I've been Gareth Blackler. Cheers.
I've been James Barron. Cheers to you.
And we'll see you on the dark side of the moon.
On the dark side of the moon. Goodbye. Yeah.
Gulp, swallow.
Professional Foley.